The Conservatives like to talk about freedoms, but what they showed this week is the freedoms that they will start to take away from Canadians should they get into power.
What the heck is going on?
The SDTC scandal is unfolding in Parliament and appears to be the biggest scandal we've covered to date. A scandal so big it could bring down Trudeau's minority government. The Liberals are in full damage control mode to the point where Government House Leader Karina Gold is telling Canadians that the Conservatives are violating the Charter of Rights and Freedoms by asking the government to produce evidence of its wrongdoing.
Let's take a look.
Something else happened this week in Parliament that Canadians across this country should be extremely alarmed about. The Conservatives put forward a motion that would trample the charter-protected rights of Canadians. Look, Parliament has extraordinary powers, and it should have extraordinary powers. But what the Conservatives put forward would direct Parliament to get documents to send directly to the RCMP.
So, please tell me, whose charter rights is that violating?
Canadians.
Is it though?
Well, again, when they say these ridiculous things, you just have to face palm because it's so disrespectful to the people that actually had their Charter of Rights and Freedoms trampled on and, let's say, suspended when they invoked the Emergencies Act, when they stole all money and suspended the bank accounts from all of those people with regard to the Freedom Convoy, when they moved all this police in to completely eliminate a lawful protest, when they arrested protesters and then tried to make up some sort of crazy charges on mischief and conspiracy to commit mischief and throw these people in jail. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what it's called to have your Charter of Rights and Freedoms trampled on. And when she was initially saying this, I was trying to think, I'm like, what motion are you talking about? What, to bring down the government? That's trampling on your rights and freedoms? No, that can't be it. No, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the SDTC scandal. And based on the testimony that came out, especially from Witness 1 last week and a hearing this week, the SDTC committee said, okay, that's it, we're done. We need every single document that the Auditor General was looking at in order to find her conclusions, which were incredibly damning, and that all needs to go to the RCMP. And then if they want to look at it and start a criminal investigation, they at least have the evidence in hand in order to do so. So that's where all of this is coming from. So, in short, it sounds like the Liberals are very, very, very concerned.
Oh, as they should be.
Right.
And now they're making up lies to frighten Canadians because, like, whose charter rights does she think that are being violated? It's not the citizens. It's not the governments. The government doesn't have charter rights. It's the government. It's a governing body. Like, so pretty much everything that's coming out of Karina Gold's mouth is garbage
and scare tactics.
Right. They're just making stuff up because the Liberals are scared. They don't want the Conservatives obtaining these documents and exposing their corruption.
And they know this scandal is so huge it could bring down their government. They know. And they are in a very precarious position right now. So this is what they're resorting to. Anyway, we're not done.
Now, both the RCMP and the Auditor General have raised their extreme discomfort with this motion. And the reason is because it looks like Parliament is trying to bypass the normal judicial processes required of police in order to conduct police investigation.
No. This is the most ridiculous part of the statement, and Rick Perkins actually addressed this in his speech in Parliament yesterday morning. Now, this video was released this morning being Saturday. So Rick Perkins spoke about this on Friday morning.
And we covered Rick Perkins' speech in our previous video, which we posted on Saturday.
So
Check it out if you haven't seen it.
So what she's saying is, oh, the Conservatives are bypassing this and the Auditor General's uncomfortable. Show me where the Auditor General's uncomfortable with this. The Auditor General got involved because she didn't trust that the government was doing what they were supposed to be doing when it came to the SDTC scandal. Nobody asked her to actually audit anybody, which is the normal process of what happens. But her department said, no, we need to look into this one ourselves. Because initially the Auditor General passed along the investigation over to Champagne's office, assuming that they would do the right thing and get this settled. That's who the whistleblower contacted, if you recall. But after Champagne's office essentially did nothing, and the SDTC did nothing, that's when the Auditor General got involved. So you're trying to tell us that the Auditor General is concerned that the House is ordering these documents to be turned over to the RCMP. So what Rick Perkins, what he describes this as is, you own a company, you own a bank, and if you suspect that there's some criminal activity going on, what are you going to do? You're going to gather all the documents and you're going to call the police and give them to the police. What, do you really think that owners of companies have to wait until somebody reports a crime to the police and then they come and ask for all of these documents? That's the only time that they can deal with them? That would be irresponsible as a company owner, and it would be irresponsible of the government of Canada not to send evidence over to the RCMP if they believe that there's criminal activity going on. They're not telling the RCMP who to investigate. They're providing evidence to them. And the RCMP themselves decides, is there criminal activity here or not? And if there are, guess what? An investigation begins. So this shows that the Liberals are also afraid of the RCMP starting an investigation on this.
Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in a country where Parliament can direct the police on what to investigate. In fact, I don't know of any democracies that can do this. The only countries that I know that do this are dictatorships or police states. And now, when I raised this issue, the Conservatives said, well, it's our right to do it. Well, just because it's your right to do it doesn't mean that you should.
Right there, ladies and gentlemen.
I like how she's using fear-mongering to be like, oh, only police states can direct the police to whom to investigate. Like, she's twisting the truth. Again, as Perkins said, as a government, if there is wrongdoing going on within your government, it's your responsibility to provide evidence to the police so that you can stop it. So we as Canadians have to ask ourselves, why is our government not wanting to provide that evidence to the police?
Right. In order for the police, any police, to start an investigation, you have to provide some sort of allegation and some sort of evidence. What do they do then? They review it and then say, yes, there's something here, we will investigate. Or they'll say, no, there's not something here and we will not investigate. The House isn't saying, RCMP, you will investigate criminality when it comes to... That's not what they're doing. What they're asking is documents to be turned over to the RCMP. Unredacted. That's the key part, Karina. Unredacted. But, it's violating the Charter of Rights, for the House to order this. But it's totally okay for you to black out almost every single document that you're turning over.
I still can't get over this ridiculous statement. Oh, it's violating the Charter of Rights. Again, whose rights is it supposed to be violating?
Right. If you're making that claim, you better be telling who.
Like, it's so ridiculous.
The Conservatives like to talk about freedoms, but what they showed this week is the freedoms that they will start to take away from Canadians should they get into power. If this is what they do in opposition, imagine what they would do in government.
They're doing their job as opposition to hold this government to account.
Yeah, and the Liberals are literally acting like that teenager that threw a wild party and their parents came home and are starting to chastise them for doing so and destroying the house. And they're saying, well, you're being authoritarian and you're violating my rights and, I should be able to do whatever the heck I want. That's what I should be able to do. This is basically what they're doing. And the fact that they're resorting to this level of, this is disinformation, folks, deliberately misinforming
Yes.
people, shows how scared they are.
Oh, they're terrified. Or else Karina wouldn't have put out this video. It really makes me wonder what her motivation specifically is for putting this out. I could see if it was Gilbo, but I don't know. Like, why, Karina, are you putting this out?
Well, I can think of one reason why she's putting it out.
Oh,
right.
Burn.
So, in the 2021 election, Karina Gold won 45.7% of the vote, and she has lost 12%, which is 25% of her total amount that she had of the popular vote. And now the Conservatives are polling higher than she did when she was elected, folks. And if an election were held today, there is a virtual guarantee that the Conservatives would be winning that riding. So I am not surprised in the least that she and many of the other GTA candidates are absolutely terrified of this government falling, but they're also absolutely terrified that the RCMP is going to look at this and they're going to find that there is a conspiracy to defraud the Canadian government of hundreds of millions of dollars, and that potentially, that's going to involve Francois Philippe Champagne. It's going to potentially involve Stephen Gilbo. It's potentially going to involve Chrystia Freeland, and potentially involve Justin Trudeau, and who the hell else knows?
I was going to say, who else who knows who else is going to be involved, because it could be any of them. I mean, Karina could be on that list, like any of them sitting on that side of the house could be on that list.
Well, and this is the problem. They haven't been investigating STTC as long as they've been investing in ArriveCan, and we've seen every single meeting in ArriveCan, more crap just keeps spilling out. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I used an unparliamentary term, crap. And that's what we're seeing with the SDTC, except with each meeting that we have with the SDTC, mountains of more evidence just seems to explode out of each of these meetings. And you're like, what the heck is going on? So this is going to be interesting. And they're losing this fight because even Greg Fergus was forced by precedent, and this is why precedent is so important in Parliament. He was forced by precedent to agree with Andrew Scheer's motion of privilege that the government is violating that privilege by not providing these documents unredacted to committee so that they can be turned over to the RCMP.
So, ladies and gentlemen, don't believe Karina Gold when she says that the Conservatives are trying to do something against the Charter, or if she suggests that they're trying to do something that's illegal or wrong. The Conservatives are doing exactly what they should be doing as the official opposition. They're putting pressure on the government to provide documents that expose the government's corruption.
And if you want to convince a liberal of what's really going on here, show them our video that we dropped on Saturday about this, then show them this video, then have them watch the Saturday video again, because it paints a very different picture, and it shows exactly why the liberals are absolutely terrified of an investigation being done into this by law enforcement. In short, they're screwed.